We're not taking this shit anymore. Honestly, I don't know what voice I was just doing there.
I don't know either. Sometimes you just say shit.
Most of the time. For whatever reason, people keep listening.
I know, right? It's weird.
It's very weird. Oh, did you see my pumpkin, by the way?
I haven't.
I have a pumpkin right behind me.
Oh, no, I didn't see it.
See?
Oh, you have like a legit pumpkin.
I have a legit pumpkin.
Kyle.
Beautiful.
You know what you should do? You should do, you know that crayon project where you like glue crayons to the top and then like use a blow dryer and melt them so it drips down in like rainbow colors all over the pumpkin? You should do that.
I've never heard of that. That sounds interesting.
I'll send you a picture.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, welcome to the show, everyone. I'm Kyle. I am, as always, joined by the lovely KC, who left us on a cliffhanger last week when she told us how to make her famous pumpkin pie. So, KC, after you.
I didn't actually. I don't like pumpkin pie. I do, however, make like a pumpkin cheesecake that's half pumpkin cheesecake and half regular cheesecake, and it's really good.
I love. Oh,
might be the only cheesecake I like, honestly.
Can't even concentrate now.
I make really good cheesecake. I actually sell it because people like to buy it for parties and stuff.
Yeah, ship it my way. Ship it my way.
Come and get it.
Let's say hello to our two guests this evening. We have, I think, both of them joining us for the first time. Right above me is the Raging Atheist. Hey, Raging Atheist, why are you so raging?
I've been told it's because I'm a reprobate.
Ah, you're in good company then.
Yeah.
Well, welcome. And up above KC, we have Atheist Rationale. Why are you so rationale? That didn't really work. Like raging thing, but.
It's not even a real question.
Probably not the most rational person. I don't know. But my channel, I guess if that's supposed to be my lure into introductions, I don't really do much. Haven't done much for the last few months. But what I have been working on is getting a lot of information together about this new IFB cult organization. I've worked with Cirrus on more than a few occasions on this, and I was actually the one that got the news out that this was a cult. I got about a 30-page document tied together, pulling basically every social media site that they have together, every church that they have together with the pastor where it's at with its YouTube website, and also a nice bite model analysis compiling every checkpoint on the bite model except for sleep deprivation with sources, and the sources, of course, would be either a Stephen Anderson sermon or Matt Powell sermon or video with, of course, ties to the other pastors as well, if it fits.
Oh, and by the way, we around here we refer to MP as cupcake. So we don't MP is a bad word around here, so we replace it with cupcake. So anytime you need to refer to Mr. Brat Towel, call him Cupcake. So for just a couple quick announcements for this week. Tomorrow, starting out after following this show, Bubba the Love Sponge is a syndicated radio station that does a bunch of comedy stuff, including prank calls from Ned. Now, Ned has some infamous prank calls, and after months, finally, we're going to have him on. He's going to be joining us. We're going to talk about the character, and then we might even prank call my grandmother. So make sure you join us immediately following this show at 9:30. Ned will be with us, and Red's Rhetoric. Tomorrow, super excited about tomorrow. The Psy Babe and Rational Blonde, as they're known on Twitter, from Two Girls, One Mic, the porncast, will be joining us. And what they do is they review porn, not the actual intercourse part, but the dialogue and the parody stuff. And so they're going to be with us, taking us through their top recommendations for parody porn in all sorts of different categories. So make sure that you join us for that on Thursday. Shannon and I.
Wait, hold on. Before we move on from that, I have to tell you that my favorite, I don't know if you would call it parody porn, but Lord of the G-String. Have you ever seen that? That shit is hilarious.
No.
There's hobbits and shit. Oh my god, it's so funny. It's so funny.
Stop it.
There's
I like the Avengers gangbang. So you have the Hulk and Captain America and Superman and not Superman, but
oh my god,
Captain America. Yeah, all of them just going at it. It's fantastic. It's better than the Avengers Endgame. Yeah, and the Endgame in this is a lot different than the main movie. I have to tell you. Let's see. Thursday with Shannon and I will be joined by Aaron Ra and 4 members of the trans community. We put together a panel. We're going to be talking about the recent events. Each one of these individuals have a different perspective. They come from a different way of viewing things. So we're going to get all aspects and see if we can't find middle ground between the events that happened previously and moving forward. So make sure you join us for that. And then on Friday, from the porn community, the furry porn star Creamsicle will be joining us, and we will hear all about the thriving world of furry porn, which it is thriving because I have looked into it, just because I do my research for this show.
As they say, yif yif.
Yeah. Now, it's actually great. And I don't begrudge anybody for what they enjoy doing. So this is not going to be a show that is in any way mocking the furry community, because I happen to be a big fan of a lot of I know a lot of furries, and I never thought that would be the case, but they are really good people, and I'm glad that they have a little niche of the porn world that they can call their own. So, okay, Casey, you have anything you like to
Not specifically, no.
You sure?
Are we going to talk about are we going to talk about Alabama first?
Well, I think
Or are we going to talk about the NIFB?
we should go into the NFB. Here's what we should just say about Alabama, okay? Because we kind of switched gears, sort of last minute with the show. We're going to talk about Alabama and the abortion thing and the Arthur thing, but I think we can all agree that Alabama is fucked up, right? You live there, so what would you say? What would you? What's your take
about
on it?
what specifically? Like, I like the weather generally, except in the summer. It's really fucking hot and humid, but it's really beautiful here. And where I live in particular is a very high technology area. We have I believe it's the second highest number of people with advanced degrees per capita. So it's a smart area, but everything around us is stupid and crazy and conservative and religious. And so it's
usually that's how I feel about being on the show.
Yeah.
Usually everything around me is stupid, and anyway, go ahead.
They do a lot of crazy shit here, and we're dealing with something right now in regards to them passing a law that allows Bible classes in school, and teachers can have Bibles and other religious relics in the classrooms and all of those other kind of things. And since we have a 9-year-old going into the 4th grade, this is really important to us. This not happen. So yeah, that's what's going on in Alabama, besides the whole abortion thing and all the other crazy shit that happens here.
Yeah, just get it together. Florida's supposed to be the
I'm trying.
The state that we can't handle, but Alabama, man, Alabama's like, hold my beer. Oh, you think Florida's crazy? Hold my beer.
Right, but here's the thing: I stay here and I vote here, so I try. Right, I do my part.
And I will say, because I've been there, I've been to your city, and it is it's not what I would like when I had Alabama pictured. It's not what I had pictured. You know what I mean? Like we all have like in our head based on, because look, here's my thing. This is what I want to say about Alabama. Okay, in history, looking back to the civil rights movement, right? Alabama was on the wrong side of history then, and they were portrayed in a horrible light from Birmingham, Selma, Mobile. Is it Mobile or Mobile? Mobile.
Mobile.
All of that reflects, like when you think back to the civil rights movement, all that is a bad image. So you would think that moving forward, Alabama would be like, you know what? We don't want to be on the bad side of history anymore. We don't want to seem like we're that Alabama anymore. But no, they're just like, fuck that. We're going even crazier.
Yeah, they're actually, generally speaking, not really ashamed of the things that have happened in the past because they feel like they were right. And so
Roy Morse running again?
Yeah, he's pondering it. I haven't seen, so last week
Really?
I saw that he was pondering running again. But here's the thing, he was removed. So you all know he didn't get elected for the Senate, but he was removed from office once in Alabama and reelected. Like he was removed from office for defying federal courts and breaking the law. And so he was removed from his post, and then fucking Alabamians reelected him. They elected him into his office again after that, after he was removed. So yes, now he's looking at running again. I don't know what the fuck he's thinking, but whatever.
What is happening? What is happening with the Alabama? Come on, Alabama.
I don't know.
Okay, now let's go from one bad situation to an even worse situation. You're probably wondering where all of these pumpkins are coming from that you see everywhere, especially if you're on Twitter. It's just pumpkin, 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 and it's not even Halloween yet. Well, last week, the new independent fundamental Baptist church, which I grew up as a Baptist. I grew up as an independent Baptist. And independent Baptists are, if you think that Southern Baptists aren't far right enough, you would become a independent Baptist. They take everything to the extreme. No dancing. At least it was this is how it was in my church. No dancing. Couldn't be alone with someone of the opposite sex without a chaperone being there. Just, leave enough room for Jesus kind of thing. And there's this new NIFB, and for whatever reason, they have made it their mission through Steven Anderson, Cupcake, Ben the Baptist, these extremists. They have a target. That target is LGBTQ plus individuals, and they advocate for essentially the extermination of anyone who is LGBTQ plus. They want the government to carry out those executions. They are planning on holding a conference in Orlando, Florida, on the anniversary of the Pulse nightclub shooting, called Make America Straight Again. Now, we have made a targeted effort. The people in this call now, people on that you don't see behind the scenes. There's a lot of moving parts that are at work trying to get out the information on these hate. Essentially, what they're doing is they're preaching hate. They're preaching executions for people. It's a terrible situation. It's a real situation, and it's something that needs to be shouted from the rooftops. So, Casey, I'm gonna let you pick it up from there, and then we'll get the thoughts from our two guests.
Okay, so yeah, one of the things that we are working on doing, and it is like Kyle said, the people in this call, plus several other fairly prominent atheist YouTubers, and we've got some bloggers, and we've got some other people involved in working on gathering information and trying to get a plan of action going forward to try to, I don't know if it's dismantle, because I don't know if it's possible to dismantle the new independent fundamentalist Baptist organization. However, there are things that we can do and that we are working on doing to make it far more difficult for them to collect money or spread their message because their web host people have terms of service that they're violating, or get them off of certain social media platforms that they're violating the terms of service because they're calling for the death, they're calling for genocide here. So these people are dangerous. Their message is dangerous. And so, like, for example, today, I am sure a lot of you might know this. Pastor Steven Anderson, his church is the, what is it, honey? Steven
Faithful Word
Anderson's church.
Baptist Church.
Faithful Word. I always forget the first word. Faithful Word Baptist Church. And so it is a recognized hate group by the Southern Poverty Law Center. And they use PayPal. Well, in PayPal terms of service, you can't use PayPal if you put it on a site or use it to fund hate speech or other kinds of activities that are involved in like discriminating against minorities or other kinds of discrimination, like against gay people. So, you know, I called PayPal and am working on, I have a case open to get their PayPal account shut down so they can't take in any more money, so that they can't fund things like this conference in Orlando where they're going to talk about killing gay people at a nightclub where gay people were killed. So there are a lot of moving pieces here, like Kyle said, but we can get the new Independent Fundamentalist Baptist organization has, I think there are over 30 churches that I have right now I've gathered that together. Shannon gathered all that together. And
we're also working
I'm
on
checking it against
that's set up in Europe.
I have a question regarding this conference. And
okay.
this is because
cupcakes in the chat.
I actually used to go to Pulse before the shooting. My question is they trying to hold the conference at Pulse itself?
No, I don't know. It's not at Pulse. It's near
just
Pulse.
in the city, okay. Near,
yeah,
but near enough.
Near.
Probably at Lake Eola.
Well, it's their intention to have it near Pulse because they're hateful sons of bitches. So what we can do is I'm comparing the list of churches to the list of organizations that are already on the Southern Poverty Law Center hate group list. The ones that aren't on there will be added. And then when they're on the hate group list, they're going to be in violation of terms of service of pretty much everything that they use. So we are coming after you and we will win.
Oh, hell yeah, we're going to win. Let's see. Who wants to start out? Raging Atheist or Atheist Rationale? Do you want to kick us off on your thoughts about this group? And by the way, Cupcake in the chat, like Shannon said, your life's about to get a lot more interesting, my not friend, and we are going to tear that ass up, and not in a way that you would like. All right, go ahead.
I'll let Atheist Rationale start. I just want to say, hey, Cupcake, I missed you. And yeah, I forgot what. Go ahead, Atheist Rationale. I'll come in after you. Oh yeah.
All right,
real quick. Shannon Q. Sorry, AR. Shannon Q. I'm not sure if you know that they are here in Michigan now. They are really new here in Michigan. I've just been harassed within the last month. Cupcake in the chat probably knows, but if you don't know, I'll find out and send you all that information.
Cool.
So,
all right.
Casey was just talking about how they have over 30 churches in their organization. What a lot of people might not realize is they also reach international levels. They have over they're in over 5 countries right now, and they're in the process of installing plants throughout Europe, such as like Ireland right now. And they've been growing. When I started my research on them just about 8 months ago, they were only at 13 churches. So the fact that they got up to 30 this fast is kind of mind-boggling. They are split off from an older cult, the old IFB, which was started by Jack Hiles. They're actually recognized by the Freedom of Mind Association as a hate cult. You could go on their website and look it up right now. And they split off due to a lot of really bad things happening in that organization. They were wrought with pedophilia charges, sexual assault, physical assault, and it's terrible. But even these new IFE people are likely committing the same things. There actually are several Facebook survivor groups that you can find where they'll talk about people in the new IFB. Other things. Now, obviously, the big thing to know is the fact that they advocate for the genocide of LGBTQ people, especially because it's Pride Month, especially because it's affecting friends of mine that I have personally. It affects me personally. I don't really talk about it, but I'm bisexual. I try to keep it under wraps to make people like Cupcake guessing, but I guess he knows now. But
admitting it on air is probably not the best way to keep it under wraps.
Yeah, whatever. Fuck it. It's Pride Month. I can come out.
Good on you.
Anyways,
good on you, man.
It's not just the LGBTQ people that they wish this genocide upon. It's unruly kids, rebellious teenagers, anybody that commits the slightest crime. If you cheat, death penalty. If you have sex before marriage, it's death penalty. And the hate goes so much farther than that too. They're also Holocaust deniers. They believe in something called the Synagogue of Satan, which is, as you can think about it, they think the Jews are trying to take over the world and make everybody gay. They have documentaries on it, actually. They also spread wild conspiracies that you've probably heard. They're anti-vax. They believe in that fluoride in the water conspiracy, and they believe in chemtrails, which is kind of ridiculous. There honestly isn't a group that they don't target, but the main focus has to be the LGBTQ plus people. Should be our main focus. But
and the kids.
Yeah, just throw it out. Yeah, of course. No, yeah, that I forgot about that. They are. They actually have multiple sermons on this, and including documentaries about how they don't allow their children to go into the public school system because it's gonna, it's the Bible model. They want to restrict access to non-cult sources of information. The second you go into public school, you're getting taught about evolution and real facts and things that they don't want you to know about. And probably the worst of all is they advocate for child abuse. Essentially, there is a Stephen Anderson sermon where he talks about that whole. I forgot the specific passage in the Bible, but it has to do with like beating your kids with a rod. They take it literally.
Spare the rod, spare the rod, spoil the child.
It's that's the offshoot of it, but that's not. I think it's even worse. It's like something like, "Thou who spoils the rod hateth their child," or something like that. And
they believe that you should be able to take your kid to the edge of, like, if you can't control them, you should be able to take them to outside of the edge of town and stone them. Like that's actually what Matt Powell advocated for in his first interview with Skylar Fiction. Skylar asked him following the LGBTQ, should we execute them? And he said yes. But Skylar pushed him further and said, okay, there's a verse that says we should stone unruly children. And he stumbled a little bit saying, well, you should always do your best to try to get them to adhere to what you're saying. But if you can't, then the Bible's the Bible and you have to do what it says. So he literally advocated you should stone children that are unruly.
Yeah,
so I feel we can all agree that Matt Powell is a piece of shit, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I have him on tape saying it several times. And as atheist Rationale was saying, probably the most atrocious thing about the NIFB is how they just are in general with children. Stephen Anderson follows the Bill Gothard formula for homeschooling. So they're deeply indoctrinating their children from a very young age. And they also follow the quiverful model. So they believe that there's natural birth control and that it's pretty much a woman's duty to bear children for a man. That's what she was created for. I think Steven Anderson is up to 13 children now. And this
he
is
has
growing. Oh,
every single
Yeah.
one of their pastors has upwards of a dozen kids.
Yeah.
Just to finish the thought I was saying earlier,
You know
though,
what?
the child
I
abuse
hope that
has
one of them turns out to be gay. I hope that one of them turns out to be gay, just to give him
I say.
same honestly. But the child abuse is allowed as young as 1 year old, by the way. So they start beating their kids before they're
Early.
before they can talk. It's
Mhm.
it's
And they're indoctrinating them into this hate speech. I covered Cupcake's video on his channel where he has a 12-year-old Guzman on stage preaching his hatred, say all the slurs, a 12-year-old child, so it's deeply
joke.
disturbing once you really get into the meat of the NIFB.
Yeah, Guzman
speaking
comes
of,
around here talking shit to me in
Mhm.
my chat sometimes, and I'm just like,
Are
somebody
they-
get this kid. Like, he literally is a little, like, get this little kid out of here. Like,
Are these kids acting like Patrick Duffy did when he was doing the preaching, like yelling like that and shit? That basically
Yeah.
the type
Yeah.
we're talking about
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, it's pretty much screaming. That's all he's
You have
does.
to
Is
you have to keep in mind too that the Stephen Anderson's church, this whole NIFB movement is dangerous on so many fronts. We're looking at it from the attack on the LGBTQ community mostly now, but we've covered here before many times actually. One of the things that
marital rape.
bothers me, one thing that bothers me even worse than the shit that they're doing now is his advocation for marital rape. And he gets up in front of his congregation and he says that the consent is given when you say I do, and that consent lasts until one of you dies. You have to get consent not to, is a quote from him, which is just it's just a shitty, pathetic thing for a garbage human to say. But not only that, what he's advocating for from the pulpit every Sunday is illegal, because raping your spouse is illegal in every state in this country. And so for him to get up there from his pulpit and having a congregation that looks to him as somebody that is touched by God and they should listen to. Can you imagine how those women must feel in that congregation, sitting there listening to their pastor tell their husbands that they can have their way with them any time they want, and that the wife better shut up and take it. It's her duty. She better not raise an issue about this. I mean, what a pathetic little man.
So it depends on how indoctrinated those women are and how much they really believe, because if they believe what they're saying is true and they feel that that's their duty, then they could, I mean, depending on how bad the brainwashing is, they could be okay with it and think that that's their responsibility, and when they do that they're going to be rewarded for doing that. But it's terrible. Like the idea that those women, one, could have that kind of mindset is terrible. But then there's also the women who really suffer through that. And I think that's probably the majority of them really suffer their lives for various reasons. And it's really disgusting. These people are disgusting.
Yeah, the first go ahead, Kyle, sorry.
It goes a little bit farther than that even. Now, we talked a little bit about Quiverful movement and how like their women are required to basically give birth one kid right after the other, right?
Did you say Queerful movement? Because I can get behind that.
Yeah, I said
Queerful.
It's Quiverful. But I meant to say
I am
should have said
definitely
Quiverful doctrine.
I am Queerful.
But I said movement.
Okay.
Anyways,
Got
it goes a little bit farther than that even. They don't allow their women to work. They have to stay in the home and do that whole fucking stereotypical thing. they're not allowed to see male gynecologists. They're not even allowed to see gynecologists while they're pregnant. They'd rather these women see, what's the word I'm looking for? Because I always forget the name of it.
Midwives?
Yes, midwives,
This is a
and they
Handmaid's Tale.
have to be associated. They have to be associated with New Independent Fundamental Baptists, otherwise it's a no-go. And worst of all, they're supposed to subscribe to this doctrine of once saved, only saved, where you all you have to do to be saved is believe on Jesus Christ. This is true if you're a man. If you're a woman, however, the only way that you can get salvation is by giving birth for the movement.
What a joke.
Yeah,
You should-
the first Quiverful video I ever did, I had Steven Anderson in it, and this was before I really knew who Steven Anderson was. I just accidentally found him through my research on this cult, and so I was watching this video, and it has to be an old video now, but it had his wife in there, and it had, I think, it's like his 6 children at the time, and she was completely cowed. But you could tell that she 100% believed everything he said, and he spoke for her, and she was completely fine with it. It was really disturbing. I'm glad I'm away from that now.
Her name
Really?
is Susanna, and she actually runs a blog where she teaches the NIFB people how to be good wives and good mothers, according to their doctrine, of course.
Yeah, I just covered
It's-
Pastor Shelley
Literally.
from Steadfast, and yeah, it's pretty much like it's a doctrine of belittling women, not allowing women to speak. If you speak, then you're gossiping, and it's just pretty much, if you're not a white man that's in the NIFB church, then they are against you. So they're going to hate you, and you are not a real Christian, and you are not doing it right, and you need to come to the light. That's the NIFB.
I'm getting angry here. These are anybody that can get behind this, say these things out loud, put people in these situations, because in every one of these instances, what they're advocating for in every situation is harmful to other people. Every single situation, from the marital rape to the belief that people who are of the LGBTQ plus community should be executed, unruly children should be executed. This is a vile, wretched, homophobic, sexist, misogynistic, psychopathic, sociopathic group of little men. And let me say that again. Anybody advocating for this stuff, anybody pushing it from a pulpit like Tommy McMurtry and Steven Anderson, these are little men. Actually, they're not even men. These are pathetic individuals that are so sad in their life that they feel that they have to use religion and the threat of someone's eternal salvation with their soul and their family to hang over their heads control, because they can't earn that respect on their own. They'd never be able to do it. So they have to hold people hostage with God and with religion and be these pathetic little boys pretending to be big in front of a pulpit and advocating harmful things. Why we don't shut these places down, why we don't run in. You know what? This is exactly why I think that every church should be taxed now. We should pull back the tax-free exemption status on churches with the scandals that have gone on with the Catholic Church, now the scandals that have gone on with the Baptist Church and the way that they were handling child sexual abuse scandals. It's happening in every single denomination. Churches are doing some scandalous shit with money, and if we had a way where we could follow that money, look at Kenneth Copeland. The bastard just bought his 3rd multi-million-dollar jet that he bought from Tyler Perry. Okay.
Oh.
And he said that the quote that he said was, I can't get on a plane, an economy plane, because it's full of demons.
Yeah, poor people are demons.
Yeah, exactly.
By
and
any
you're right in
chance,
the
did you
chat.
catch that Insider Edition?
I did.
Fucking,
He didn't do it. He didn't do a good job of explaining it away, and he looked unstable when he said when she made that point to him, and he said, "Don't you ever accuse me of saying that I didn't do it either." Like, he's just so creepy. To me, he would be the perfect lead in a vampire movie. Like, if there was a like a head vampire guy, Kenneth Copeland would be fantastic at it. But anyway, these taxes that we would get from these churches in every state could cover everything that the state is in need of: education, infrastructure. So many things could be benefited from the taxes collected by churches. They've proven that they cannot and they don't deserve that protection with the things that they're doing with this money. And I'm sure there are churches that are just as good as gold. Okay, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that every church is laundering money or a front for whatever kind of mafia-like activity. Most of them are, but not all of them. There are some churches I'm sure that are just as good as can be. But those churches that are just as good as can be, hell in comparison to the ones that are doing scandalous shit with money.
Yeah.
And yeah, go ahead, Casey.
Well, I mean, I just want to make clear that, like, I believe in the freedom of religion. I'm an anti-theist, and I loathe religion and what it does to people. But I do believe in the freedom of religion. However, I don't believe in how they spread hatred. I don't believe in how they indoctrinate their children. Psychologically damages them for their entire lives. And so they're doing harm. They're doing a lot of harm. And I basically live on the principle of try to do as little harm as possible. You know what I mean? Like, if something is going to harm someone else, you should do everything you can to not do that thing. And so they're harming people, and they're harming a lot of people, and their message is spreading and growing, and that's unacceptable. This isn't just a regular religion. These are hate groups. These are bona fide hateful people who advocate for genocide. And so they have to be dealt with. I think it's a very serious situation, and it's not about hating religious people, and it's not about hating religion. It's about the fact that these people are dangerous.
And I want to get you two's opinion right after this, because I wanted to say something directly to the NIFB church. You have said a lot of things that are disgusting and hateful and vile and should never be uttered by another human being. And I know that's because you as individuals are missing something. You're missing some sort of shred of humanity or empathy, and maybe you actually have convinced yourself that the Bible is a justification, or what the words in that Bible say is a justification for your actions and your threats. However, you may have enjoyed some years where you've gotten away with it. You've been able to say these things, and people would be outraged, but there's nothing ever really been done about it. Well, that's changing. You have no idea the hell that is getting ready to visit your doorsteps. We will not stop. We will not rest. We will not ever quit chasing you down to every shadowy corner that you try to hide in. We will find you. And when we find you, we will shut you down. We will silence you. And we will make sure that this nation and that this corner of YouTube and that your presence is no longer felt, and you're no longer frightening people. You're no longer threatening people. You're no longer making it to where people feel uncomfortable in any way, shape, or form. And if you think I'm joking, just watch. Just sit back and wait, because you have such a rude awakening coming. And I am so happy that I'm going to be one of the many that are going to serve it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Guys.
Oh yeah, I agree. I would like. I had to remind my chat yesterday because it's so easy to get worked up that we don't sink to their level, that we don't say hateful things, that we combat their hatred and be an example. But at the same time, especially the leaders of this church, they are utilizing people's gods and telling them basically that your God demands this of you. And they're pushing that in their heads, and they're making them say these derogatory slurs on a daily basis. They promote it. They say something around the lines that this is the harsh terms of the past, and you must use these harsh terms because God wants you to. So they're using these people's God.
Literal biblical language. There's a sermon I have in my archive that says that.
Yeah, so you know, I am all for let's be active and let's activate against them and be that example. But don't sink to their level. Don't say hateful things to them. Don't deride them. Just shut them down. Shut them down because it's hate speech. They don't have freedom of speech on these platforms. They have to follow the guidelines. They have to follow the terms of service. So if they're going to go against those terms of service, get them out of here.
And that's what I want to speak to next, Casey. Maybe you can give some tips to people who, if they come across these sort of videos. Actually, before we do that, Casey, before you do that, Dave, would you play that video? I'm not sure of the timestamp, but I want to give you guys a little taste. If you don't, if you haven't seen any of the vile shit that these guys spew, I'm going to show you a little bit.
Turn to Proverbs.
On this video, Casey, do you know the timestamp
16. These are all my notes.
No.
What they say?
I don't even know what video this is.
But some of these are illustrations that I'm going to use today. But let's go ahead and turn to Proverbs chapter number 16.
Michael
Hey,
Johnson.
I'd like you to look down there. Make sure this is
Go 3
on,
minutes in.
so I can move around a little bit. Government do it. Their little LGBTQ flags out there, but it's national news. Governor Cuomo, baby killer Andrew Cuomo, he comes out and says, "I can't believe this, this despicable act of hate went on." Andrew baby killer Cuomo, that says you can kill the babies right up until they're about to come out of the womb, says that it's a hateful act to light a flag on fire. Bring me an LGBTQ flag. I'll do something with it. Light it on fire. We'll light them all. We'll light the whole building on fire. I'm not calling for us to do that.
Wow.
Right.
All right, go towards the end, Dave. I want to see if I
he
can
had to cover his ass there. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
In unrighteousness. They know they're prideful. They're saying, "I don't want anything to do with it. I choose this." Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God. That's pride. Neither were they thankful, but became vain. Vanity is pride, my friend. Vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened, professing themselves to be wise. What is that? Pride. Pride. Their basis in marriage when he went into office.
Hold on one second. John has
anything to do
John
with
went through this one today. He has timestamps. Which one do you want?
Okay. I want the drag queen story time.
Drag queen story.
Drag queen. 36:22. Well, a little bit before that, so like maybe
36 or 35.
Perfect. Thank you,
Oh.
G.
By the way, what was the name of the sermon? I want to know if I have it in my archive or not.
It's named like pride something. It has the hashtag Make America Straight Again. Also, it has the hashtag Massa, and it has the hashtag LGBT hate.
I got the actual.
This is the only video that uses hashtag LGBT hate.
Damn.
His name is Michael Johnson, AR.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, I
Pastor
said it
Michael.
earlier.
It's Pastor Michael Johnson. Pride goeth before destruction.
Yeah,
Okay.
and this
I don't have
and
that
this
one
guy
yet. I'm gonna
preaches
grab
at Temple Baptist, right?
Yes.
This guy
Yeah.
preaches
I
at
think so.
Temple Baptist. What?
I was gonna say he's on
Now what-
this, but he's not.
What you're about to hear, let me give a disclaimer here. What you're about to hear is shocking.
Horrifying.
It's gonna enrage you, and it should enrage you. And I want you to take that feeling that you get when you hear what you're about to hear, and I want you to apply it to taking these sons of bitches down. And like Raging Atheist said, don't use it to go after them personally. Don't stoop to their level, but use it to think of every creative way you can to pull the rug out from underneath them, because there's no reason for people to have a platform or any means of having a voice with what you're about to hear. Go ahead, Dave.
Some man in a dress, you know, with lipstick on and all that garbage, and they're taking their kids in to hear that garbage. Look, you want Drag Queen Story Hour? How about we have government Drag Queen Story Hour, where we take all the kids and all the community and everybody come out, and we have one of those old-fashioned Western stories where we hang them high up on the yard. And we say, all right, kids, we're going out to Drag Queen Story Hour. We're going out to, hey, everybody, gather around. We're having Drag Queen Stoning Hour. Drag Queen Story Hour. See, now,
Right,
kids,
Dave,
now listen very carefully.
Get rid of this.
Unbelievable.
I'm like having
Except
a
it is
visceral
believable.
reaction right now.
It
It's
is.
like
It is believable from these
Yeah.
people. These are the things
It
that
is.
these people believe and preach and teach, and that's why they have to be stopped.
Well, yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
and it's like
I
no
just-
matter how much, no matter how much you cover them, though, it's just it never gets easy to listen to. It's always hard to listen to it.
No,
What's unbelievable
course.
to me is that this is 2019 and we haven't advanced beyond this kind of rhetoric.
Yeah.
Like, this is the same
Yeah.
type of rhetoric that was used in World War II and prior by people like the Nazis to justify
I'm so mad right now. Like,
the genocide of another.
I can feel my eyes like welling up right now with those rage tears right now. Like, I am absolutely outraged right now.
Yeah,
I'm
and
with
they
100%.
they believe at 100% that this country needs a theocracy, that our government should instill severe fundamental Christian law, and that these people should literally, just like the Bible says, be stoned to death. It's disturbing to even consider, as Dave said, in this day and age, that this is still a thing.
Now, the old IFB is actually quite larger than the new IFB, even though it's been growing pretty quickly and tremendously. The old group actually already has people in Congress. They sought out like political representation, and the new IFB Jesus, who just left you $100 super chat, has sent me a sermon where Steven Anderson is saying the same thing, where he wants to have some sort of political influence.
Well,
So-
the Quiverful movement itself has long infiltrated United States government. The most famous case would be the Duggars. They were lobbyists, and they were Quiverful fundamental evangelicals pushing for Christian law.
Think
So
long.
there's-
Go ahead, Casey.
There's some questions in the chat. So for people who joined us late, no, this isn't a group in Alabama. Actually, surprisingly enough, there's not one of these churches in Alabama yet. So they're all over the world, and we're going to do something about it.
Yes,
We're going to do something.
and
Yeah,
and
right now they're primarily in Florida and Arizona, but they're spreading fast.
Yeah.
let me make an appeal to you guys that are watching this now and going to be watching this later in whether it be tomorrow or the next day. There are some creative people that watch this show, and some people with means that we could only even begin to dream about. Use them. Use anything creative you can to look into where these people, like what you just saw, is being hosted, where that video is being streamed to, what website provider that person is doing, what real estate company that the church is in agreement with, look at every little detail about these people and take it from them for the simple fact. Go ahead.
Well, and if you want to join us and help do this, like Kyle said, there are some creative people. If you want to be a part of this and you want to help, that's fine. We can use all the help we can get. You can email anti-nifbmovement.com or at gmail.com. anti-nifbmovement@gmail.com. That's right, John? Yeah. So you can email us there. And if you have ideas or anything else, you can let us know and we will be happy to get you involved.
Sure. But yes, we will, and get a job. No, this is not a borderline doxing request. I clearly said I want them to use their talents and the anger that they feel by watching this to make sure that this message doesn't reach another ear. No one should have to hear that a group of people want to hang people who do drag out in the middle of a town square and parade children underneath to watch that event happen. No one should have to hear that. And no one has the right to incite that sort of violence against a group of people. They should be silenced. They will be silenced. And I think that people who have the means and the resources to make that happen should get involved. So the email is in the chat.
I don't support doxing, but trust me, they do not have any problems doxing you. Cupcake himself has doxed me on several instances, and he has my personal information. I have no way to prove it, but I'm fairly certain he's given it out. So they will dox you. Now, I'm not saying go dox them. I'm right there with Kyle on that. There's a good way to do this, but be careful in your interactions with these people because they don't play fair.
Right.
We want to try to do this. We want to try to do this the right way. We definitely don't condone any kind of violence against them. We don't condone any kind of harassment against them. What we're trying to do is make sure that if they're violating terms of service of any of the services that they use to conduct their business, that those people who they're conducting business with are informed about it so that they can take action.
Right, and
Absolutely.
for those who look at this as an attempt to censor them, no, this is an attempt to deplatform them. There's a difference. Those people can go out in public and talk about this bullshit all they want,
And they should be.
but they shouldn't be receiving money from people who rely on the same services to protect them from hate speech or whatever.
And they should be deplatformed.
They
have no right to spew that bullshit on any platform.
They're protected under the Constitution to be able to say what they're saying behind their pulpits, not on YouTube and not on Twitter or PayPal, so.
Absolutely.
It's probably a cliche. It's probably a cliche at this point, but I feel like I should just say freedom of speech does not equal freedom of platform or consequences. These are private businesses that they're operating under, and they have every right to kick them off if they violate terms of service.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we do have every right to go to these churches as well and stand in opposition. I plan on going to my friend Cupcake in the chat. I'm going to be up at your church soon. He invited me, so I'm going to take him up on it and just ask the people, like, do you guys really believe in this horrible, horrible stuff that they say? Make them say it, make them uncomfortable.
I feel like it's important to also tell people that any protest that they have met, they have countered, they have done their own counter protest while carrying assault rifles and like really dangerous weapons. And then they, of course, start spewing their hate speech at these people. And I worry about like the possible, like if somebody like provokes them in some way and then they get hurt, and I just don't want that to happen. If you're going to protest, let's make it safe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Film.
Just know that. Just know this. That behind the scenes, own stream, on YouTube, on various other platforms. There is a mighty big movement that's happening right now with a lot of people, and a lot of people with a lot of reach, and that wave is coming for the NIFB. The bell has tolled for that group, and what's coming is something that they brought on themselves, and I am going to enjoy watching watching justice be done and the right side winning.
Me too.
So let me get to super chats, because I know that Kate, we've got another show coming up in 30 minutes, and let me run through these real quick. Vandy, I'll hail the Pumpkin King. Nagato True Pain, the NIFB needs to be shut down. Bryce Nance, I live up the road from Freedom Word Baptist Church, Faithful Word Baptist Church. I really want to shut these hateful people up. Joshua Carter, keep up the good work, guys. Favorite channel along with Arn Ra. Well, thank you for that. That's good company. Donald's angry. Trusting the SPLC. I thought you guys were skeptics. What does that even mean? Nagato True Pain, this is the absolute best live chat on YouTube. I agree. Kuyasa, Hallelujah, brother. Nice. Lori Blasher and Bobby Bob both left a super chat with no message. Thank you very much for that. As did the NIFB Jesus. And Jesus, what a super. Thank you very much for that.
We love NIFB Jesus.
He
Yes.
supports all that stand against the NIFB.
Here's the thing. This is the NIFB Jesus. Can you get your people in line? NIFB Jesus, please.
Right. Can you get this shit together, please?
Yeah. Chris Foster says Alabama just passed a chemical castration bill for people who molest children under 13. Thoughts is, hey, Alabama finally did something pretty reasonable. What are you guys?
Actually,
I don't have an issue with that. I don't have an issue with that.
Oh God,
Anybody else have an issue with that?
No.
not really. No.
No.
I haven't read
I don't
it, so I'm not gonna comment on something I haven't read yet.
Well, if that's the case, if it is true that Alabama passed a bill that would chemically castrate people who have been convicted of molesting anyone under the age of 13, I am a-okay with that. A-okay with that. Wolf says
What
these
if the
guys
person's actually innocent?
well,
Not everybody
I
who's
mean,
convicted is guilty.
true, but
Is chemical castration permanent? I don't really know much about chemical castration.
I don't know that either. But I think that the good, I don't know. See, it's one of those things where does the good it would do outweigh the risk of getting some innocent people caught up in that? And that's a good question. I don't know.
And that's what I don't know. I don't know enough about it really at all to. I'd have to think about. I have to learn more about it and then think about it.
Sure. It's a different. It's a difficult. It's a difficult thing, for sure.
I mean, my gut automatically wants to say absolutely that's fine, but I'm not sure that I don't know. Yeah.
No, yeah, you're right.
I don't know enough.
At least cupcake. We can do a cupcake.
Right. Yeah.
I don't advocate for violence against even Cupcake.
Yeah. I think you're right when you say that your instinct is to instantly say, like I did, say absolutely. Why would? With that, I mean, there's just a lot of moving parts to that. It would be something that I would have to really dive into because I don't know what you would do in that situation. That's a really good question. I don't know. Ansi Sorvisto says, not in Finland. I will make outreach call. Hashtag not in EU. Oh, not in the EU. That's good. Oh, yeah, because y'all have banned them all.
Yes.
Yeah,
These pastors are banned in a lot of countries. A lot of countries have banned these fucks, and in the US it's like, let's open another one down the street. I mean, come on, man. Come on. It's ridiculous.
That's great. And then our good friend Min says, because of you, Kyle, these messages don't faze me one bit. I like to stay on my towel, but I agree with your approach, killing fire with bigger fire. Yep. Look, there's a many instances where going and trying to take the higher route is the appropriate, in most cases, is the appropriate action. There are some situations, though, where the subject matter and the intentions of the other side are just so vile and despicable that you have to play a version of a game that you wouldn't normally do, or that you don't really like doing. You don't. It doesn't feel good when you report videos and try to get people deplatformed. Like, just for me anyway, it doesn't feel good. This case, it feels good. This case, it feels like it's the right thing to do, because people could very, very much be in danger when other people hear that there are people out there that think like they do, that think it's okay to harm other people just because they're different. Imagine being so pathetic and petty that someone else's, the way that someone else's chooses to live their life bothers you so much that you have to kill them, or you have to advocate that the government take their life. Like, imagine being that insecure with yourself that that's the solution.
And not only killing them, but parading children around so they see what happens when if they become like that.
Absolutely.
Or if they are like that. And the psychological, could you imagine if you're a kid and you know that you're different, you don't really understand what trans is at that point, maybe, but you know that you don't feel right in your body, and maybe you're a little boy who wants to wear a dress, and then you're paraded along a line of trans women who you know, were hung. Could you imagine the psychological damage that could do to a person, and how they would have to live their life, and the fear that they would feel? This is unacceptable. This is just unacceptable. Preaching this is unacceptable. Teaching this is unacceptable. Talking about this is unacceptable. You fucks are unacceptable, and you're going the fuck down.
Just remember, like, every sermon you see, that there are children in that audience. There's babies. I point it out every time I cover them. I'm like, I just heard a baby, or I just saw a baby. Like, there are children there listening to this hatred. And I mean,
it's horrifying.
You gotta remember that, you know.
They even bring up their kids
in IFB,
the pulpit when they're talking. Sorry, I'll let you go.
You may think that people are frightened by the things that you say or the threats that you put out. I'm not. This is one queen that is going to enjoy ramming it up your asses. Do you guys want to plug your channels before we close out? So we got to switch over for the next show, and I'm
the Raging Atheist. You can find me on the Raging Atheist. I do a lot of work on the NIFB. I stand against hatred, and I'm all for equality. Come check me out and subscribe. Thank you. I just want to say that I want to thank KC, Godless Engineer, Mr. Atheist, Kyle, tell all of you guys. So much has been done in the last week that we were able to do in a year of screaming at these people. The community coming together works, and I just want to thank you guys for bringing us together.
I'm with him 100% there, guys, by the way. Like, I was hoping this would happen when I brought this to Cyrus's attention months ago, and now it finally is, and it's almost like a dream come true.
Thank tell all of y'all. I mean, it's just crazy. It's good.
Yeah, you have done Atheist Rationale. You have done a lot of work on this already, and your document that you have put together with all of the resources, it's a really great jumping off point for all of us. And so I think we can do a lot of good here. I really do.
And we will.
Yeah,
they won't win.
I'm really glad to be part of this.
No,
we're in it for the long haul, and we will win.
So back to plugging my channel. I haven't really done anything over the last few months, but I'm finally in a good situation. I've honestly been through a lot of shit over the last few months that's kept me away from doing real work. But I'm right there. I've done so much research on this new independent fundamental Baptist stuff. I helped Cyrus put up. I helped Cyrus actually make his videos regarding the new IFB when he first brought it up around December, January. Like I said, I'm the reason why people are recognizing them as a cult now. You'll catch me talk about a lot of the religious. I mean, the hate coming out of religious fundamentalism. I like to debunk pseudoscience, whether it's Christian or otherwise. And yeah, that's basically me. I'm the same kind of atheist channel as any other one out there, but I got my own little spin and I have fun.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, everyone. We'll be back here in 22 minutes. We'll be joined by Ned and something a little bit more, or a little bit lighter, and we'll be talking about some prank calls and sort of getting our mind off of this. But NIFB, we're coming, and we're gonna win, and we're not stopping until you are the FIFB, the Forgotten Independent Fundamental Bitches. Good
Well,
night.
yeah.
Love it.